Hello everyone and welcome back to the Music Dungeon with me, Mac Plays Banjo, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Mac. I'm a banjo player, as you can tell by my banjo here and my painting of a Renaissance man playing the lute, although I usually say that he's playing a banjo, which makes people that don't get the joke really mad, which I think is hilarious. So yeah, look at that amazing banjo he's playing, guys. But welcome back to the channel, and what do we do on this channel? Well, we do many different things. You know, sometimes I play banjo, sometimes I talk about playing banjo and like my process of learning. One of the big things on the channel that we do is we check out other banjo players who are generally better than me, and we do a little technical analysis of their playing. It's like, how good is this person? You know, what are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What can we learn from their playing? And today we are investigating the perhaps the most famous banjo player of all time. Now that's kind of arguable. Maybe if you think it's someone else, then you can drop that in the comments. But Steve Martin, not famous primarily for playing banjo, but perhaps the most famous banjo player in the world, because Steve Martin, although, you know, I don't know really who he is. I think he's like a comedian, actor sort of guy. I've seen one of his movies, to my knowledge, Father of the Bride. Pretty funny stuff. I enjoyed it. But he didn't play banjo in that movie. And imagine my disappointment when I discovered that this man up on the silver screen is capable of playing banjo, but did not in that movie, nor any other to my knowledge. But he plays banjo quite a bit in his spare time. So I thought today we'd just go through YouTube, find some clips of him playing banjo, and, you know, do some subtle expert analysis on it, try and figure out what his strengths are, what his weaknesses, you know, maybe some things he could improve on, maybe some things that you and I can improve on, that we can learn from his playing. You know, lots of things to be gleaned here. Steve Martin does this whole banjo prize thing, which is pretty cool. I think it's like 5 people a year that they award 10 grand to, and some people that I'm friends with have received it, and it's pretty awesome. Alison DeGroot, Trey Wellington. Oh, well, they didn't do one for 2025, so maybe it's done with. Yeah, okay, so it's 2 people a year, although 2020 was 5 people, so I'm not sure what happened here. It's a really great thing. Steve Martin, you know, is a very wealthy man, being generous, putting money back into the instrument that he loves, which is a really cool thing. I would love to be wealthy enough that I could just be like, oh, there's this thing that I've enjoyed all my life. Let me just shove $500,000 into it to support the industry, which is really cool. But yeah, I know some people that have received it. Really cool, you know, to just get a check in the mail randomly for 10 grand, I imagine. But yeah, maybe they're done because I don't see any for 2025. Anyways, we are here to look at Steve Martin's banjo playing and to judge it ruthlessly. So let us start doing that. First up, we have this video. Steve Martin plays the banjo on the Smothers Brothers comedy hour. So let's just check it out.
So let's get going. Here we go. Hey! Isn't that happy?
All right, first impressions. Nice tone. He's playing an archtop here. By the way, an archtop, if you don't know, you can see this kind of ring in here on the banjo. Inside a banjo, there's this big metal circle. It's called a tone ring. I wish I had one just lying around to show you, but they're all inside their banjos, all the ones that I own. There are 2 types. There's a flathead, you know, the ring is like this. It goes up and then down. And then there's an archtop where it goes, you know, up and then curves inward. But yeah, archtops sound brighter because they make the head have a smaller diameter, which is like, you know, it's pitched higher and it makes the banjo sound brighter. But this is nice tone for an archtop. He's using his index finger repeatedly. Which is fine at this tempo. You know, you wouldn't want to do that at a really fast tempo, even if you could, because you're more likely to make mistakes and stuff. You want to have economy of motion and like use your fingers kind of equally so that they don't get strained and stuff. But yeah, this is pretty simple. So far, so good though. You know, I like his tone. He's playing cleanly. This could definitely be like an advanced beginner to intermediate level of play here. I would say, just from what we've seen. We haven't seen that much, so this is a maybe putting the cart before the horse a little bit, but just from what I've seen so far, that's what I would say. He's kind of strumming it with his finger picks. I think he was kind of like flicking the strings with his ring finger, which is kind of unique, you know. Again, I don't think we're gonna get too much from this clip because it's very, you know, simple, comedy focused. But I thought it was a good one to start out on, you know, because it's just like, okay, this. He at least, you know, can play competently with simple things. The next video is this one, which I'm hoping I don't get copyrighted on because it is from the Letterman show. I think. Some late night show. I don't know. But this is a whole bunch of banjo players on stage playing Foggy Mountain Breakdown. I think Earl himself is here. 16 million views. Wow. Steve plays a break to Foggy Mountain Breakdown here. Let's check it out. All right, this is kind of hard to judge because the quality is pretty bad here. And there are a couple things I want to take note of. So first off, his playing is not super clean here, you know, and I think that is partially due to the terrible quality we're dealing with here. So we're not gonna pick that apart too much. Pick it apart. But this is pretty cool. I think he was improvising a little bit here for a couple of reasons, which we'll look at. But let's just check this out again. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of a breakdown of this solo here. So for the first measure, or not measure, the first phrase that he plays, it's pretty much the melody of the song, right? So that's pretty much the melody of the song, like Earl would play it. I just gotta get my banjo to demonstrate this. All right, didn't expect this to turn into a improvisation workshop, you know. Also, for my tuning is gonna be real bad because I put a new head and new strings on this thing yesterday, so it is all over the place. So, Foggy Mountain Breakdown. Normally how like Earl would play it. That's like the standard break that Earl would do, right? Kind of two chords in this thing, right? There's the G, and that's, and then there's the E minor, which is like an Illis chord. So what Steve did is he played, you know, this part just like Earl. But instead of doing this, he did kind of this thing. Not that exactly, you know, but every 3-note chord will have 3 inversions up the neck. You know, you have the root position, your first inversion, and your second inversion. And E minor has that too, you know, root position, first inversion, second inversion. So that's a really easy thing to do if you're doing this kind of music where it's like, you know, the whole melody there is just like playing the chord. You can do this. Or even... Sounds good, really easy to do. So that's what Steve is doing. He's doing a little bit of improvisation, just going up to a different form of the chord. Anyway, so that's what he's doing there. Just a little bit of improv, pretty simple stuff, but good stuff. Okay, this is quite a bit cooler. He actually quoted one of his own songs right there. So this song is called, is it Pitkin County Breakdown? Pitkin County Turnaround, that's it. Yeah, so he's quoting his own music there. Quoting his own song in this break, which is cool, you know, it fits. And then he's going to the third inversion of E minor that we were talking about. So he does that note. Pretty sure he meant the D. So, you know, that works. He's quoting his own song, which is cool. That shows a, you know, higher level of musicianship than we have seen. But yeah, really good stuff. I'm impressed. He did that inversion again here. And then he changed a note there. What was that? which is cool, you know, changes the G to a F sharp. Pretty standard stuff, good stuff. And then finishes it out a pretty standard Scruggs style. So, really good stuff there from Steve. I'm kind of impressed quoting his own song in there. It wasn't that complex, you know, but it doesn't have to be with Foggy Mountain Breakdown. That was a good break. I'm guessing that he hasn't practiced in quite a while, just on how he's, like what his touch is like, but also that could be just bad quality on the video. Better than I was expecting, I'm not gonna lie. All right, and then our final video is a clip from The Ellen Show, another talk show which I have never watched and will never watch after this clip, unless there's another banjo player on it. But yeah, let's check this out, because I'm pretty sure Steve plays some on here. Yeah, we can just skip him talking, honestly. I don't really care.
Fine.
Ooh. Probably the weakest performance we've seen from Steve so far. That audience did not help him. That clapping was not on point. But yeah, that was a lot worse than the last video we saw, honestly. And that's probably just because he's out of practice, is what I would guess. Banjo's kind of out of tune, which, you know, it happens. He doesn't have time to tune that on the show. You know, he'd probably get eaten alive by Ellen or something. But yeah, that wasn't... I don't know, I'm kind of disappointed now. I was so impressed in the last video. One thing I would like to see from Steve here, and Steve, maybe if you're watching, you can take some notes. Take some notes on this. Nah, Steve's not watching. You can get private lessons from Bailoff like if he wants. But you know, kind of the way your hand is positioned when you're playing down the neck, it's like your palm. It's kind of like you're grabbing like a baseball bat. You know, you kind of want to bring that out a little bit sometimes. It'll help you play better, more cleanly. You know, it doesn't have to be like this, but you know, you don't really want this part of your hand touching the neck. Ever, really, unless you're, I don't know, maybe there's some application where you like have to have it on there, but certainly not right here. You don't kind of want it like this with the style that he's playing. But yeah, that was definitely not his best performance there, and we can give him a break on it because looks like he's out of practice and all that, you know. But anyway, we can probably call it there. Those are all the videos I had of Steve Martin playing. Overall, what would I say about Steve Martin? Pretty good player. I would say like decently advanced intermediate of three-finger style. Now I know he's mostly a claw hammer guy, so I can't really speak to his claw hammer playing, although I've listened through most of his records, and I will say his claw hammer playing is quite nice. But we don't deal with the dark arts here on Mac Plays Banjo, the dark art of claw hammer. But yeah, his three-finger playing, you know, decently intermediate stage, pretty good stuff. And you know, honestly, real talk, very impressive that he's you know, had this amazing career as a comedian and actor, and also is that good at an instrument, and just goes around, does it for fun, pretty much, and plays with like a real band, and has his own records out. Very impressive that he can do that many things well, you know. A lot of his playing on his records is pretty good. I couldn't play any of those because of copyright reasons and stuff. You can go check him out. Overall, I'd say Steve Martin is the best comedian, actor, banjo player that starred in Father of the Bride that I have ever seen. And we can definitely give Steve Martin a big friend of the channel. Steve, you're welcome on anytime. But yeah, anyways, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. If you enjoyed the video, I'm glad. You can go check out my other videos. You'll probably like those too. If you want to get lots of tabs, you can join the Patreon. There's a free level where you get a lot of tabs. There's a $5 level where you get, I think, all the tabs, and also other stuff that I'm adding on there. I have a record you can go listen to. The link is in the description. If you're looking for banjo lessons, you can hit me up. Everything is in the description. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed. I will see you in the next one.